Welcome back to a brand new episode of Intake It All In. Today we're going to be covering our PX600 Carbon Fibre Airbox. So before we get onto the PX600 Airbox, we're actually going to profile and highlight the car that we have in our bay today. Now this is the GBS Zero, which has a 2.5 Duratec engine. So this car has come all the way down from Nottingham from a company called Great British Sports Cars. It's a family-run business that hand build these cars. Now these cars kick out about 200 brake horsepower. Now in today's standards that may not seem a lot, but when you put it into a car that weighs barely 800 kilograms, you're going to really feel that power. If you follow us on social media or have watched any of the other content on this channel, you'll see that we've talked about panel filters, cone filters and even intakes. You'll notice that you've never really seen anything like this before. That's because this car runs throttle bodies, which means we have a slightly different setup for the air filter. GBS have been using our foam competition filters on their cars for years, and we were super excited to get them down here and have them fitted with a carbon airbox, which is the next generation and innovation. So that's an intro to the car and the PX600 Carbon Airbox done. Let's bring Luke in to give you a technical deep dive into this product.
This is our new carbon fibre version of the previous plastic PX600 Airbox, designed predominantly for twin carb, throttle body car, kit car style stuff, track day applications, everything else like that, where noise limitations might start coming into effect, where you can't have sausage filters or dome filters that we like to call them. It runs exactly the same base plate as all the PX600 range, so even if you are currently running a 600 dome filter or straight walled filter, you can switch straight over to the carbon airbox because it's a direct fitment for it. It's just finding the space that you have at the front end to run either the 100mm or 75mm cold air feed. On the neck of this, an integral filter. So whereas your open one is obviously one big filter, this is more about creating a huge plenum of air for your throttle body application or twin carbs, and then having a cold air feed directly to it. So the whole point of switching over to carbon is, one, we were able to go to a single piece. Now the previous version was made from injection moulding, but it was actually moulded in a few different pieces in itself. Now we did start to see some limitations with that on some higher power applications, whereas now we've switched over to carbon. It's really strong. Carbon fibre is known for its rigidity and everything else we have with that, but also in terms of IATs, its thermal barrier protection that it has compared plastic injection moulded part is much greater. So GBS have been using the open version for quite some time, the PX600 range, in either straight wall or a dome style. You'll always get great gains by fitting one of these to your vehicle. Where the carbon stands out on its own at that point is track day stuff where you're trying to keep IATs down, that prolonged heavy use on the car. Because it has a direct cold air feed to it and it's an enclosed system, anytime you have an enclosed system, you're able to keep those temperatures down, make the engine last longer, and it keeps it much happier on a track day and everything like that. Now we do all the 600 range in various depths and heights. You can even have this custom built in a straight wall to whatever height your trumpets might be. So limitations in bonnet clearance, etc., that's where this is really good. When you need to keep the noise down, or you're focusing purely on heavy performance of getting the coldest air possible through to those trumpets, that's where the airbox comes into play. So we have a right hand, left-handed. That allows you to obviously run it either right or left-handed, depending on whether your engine is longitudinally mounted or transverse, depending on which way you're trying to run a cold air feed duct to. So we do a blank base plate, so even if we don't cover the application, you can buy the base plate as a blank. You can then cut the holes yourself to suit your choke sensors, and literally full universal fitment range, whatever you want it to go onto, it can pretty much go. Any pretty much throttle body application, carburetor application that you can think of, it can go onto. As long as you've got the space there. On the website it has the full dimensions from base of base plate to top height of the airbox itself, so you'll be able to measure up everything, see the full dimension, does it fit in the engine bay, yes, no, bang it on, away you go. Are you coming or what?
One pathetic sob story later.
Thanks for joining.
Let her rip, take the chip.
I don't think they had people my size in mind when they designed this car. GBS, just for the record, maybe if we could look for a slightly wider cockpit in the future, would be amazing.
Maybe like a centre seat one that's just for one person.
Yeah, just one person.
Yeah,
I don't need
McLaren
anybody.
style. Yeah.
Because this isn't required. I mean,
This is lovely.
look at you.
So what is the main purpose of the carbon airbox for the throttle bodies? What is the main purpose? What's that doing for the throttle bodies?
It's giving it a nice direct feed of cold air. Because it's an enclosed system, it's keeping those temperatures down. The GBS car has a fully enclosed bonnet, so all the air needs to be is direct from that front scoop, is getting pure cold air to the bodies all the time. Now with an open cone, they work really well, maybe if you've got a bit more of an exposed sort of filter to the elements, so that you can have air to that all the time. Now when you don't, you can suffer from what we call high IATs, which is high temperatures of airflow going into the throttle body. Now that restricts power, you lose out on all the fun, power, everything else you're going to get from the normal sort of drivability of the car, a lack of throttle response and everything else. So, especially normally aspirated applications like this, they love cold air feeds to them. It gives a nice big plenum, which is a volume of cold air being pulled directly into the throttle bodies at the time as well. And it just works really great for this sort of application.
So we class this as a universal airbox. How universal are the options for this airbox? Like, is there different heights, lengths, left and right, stuff like that?
So the carbon airbox is one height. All the drawings for that are based on the website Pipercross.com. You can see, you can measure it up and make sure it fits your application. We do offer it in various sizes in terms of cold air feed inlet. So you have a 75 or 100mm cold air feed inlet, and then we offer it in left and right hand versions. So depending on which way the orientation of your engine is and the throttle bodies or carburetor application is on your car, you can find one to suit it that way.
So if I've got a brand new car, kind of a modern style engine, I can't run this. So what are the kind of like, what are criteria of being able to, who's looking for a carbon airbox like this?
It's generally designed towards carburetor and throttle body applications. Newer vehicles are all on a single throttle body or turbo application, so it doesn't really give you the ability to fit this to it. Because it runs off a base plate, you need to run that over, like I say, carbs or throttle body, so it bolts up to the actual base plate of that itself. So yeah, newer applications don't work as well, but that's where we come in with our new Air Max range for all the carbon stuff. Pipercross heritage open cone intake stuff that we do with heat shields and everything else, designed specifically for applications.
So is this your first experience on a car like this?
It's not, but I think the last time I drove one of these, I was a little bit smaller.
You don't. I think you're good now. I think everything's the right proportion.
We're in.
We're in.
And there's two of us.
Who's going to stop us? Only ourselves.
There's no one stopping us getting out, put it that way. Just ourselves.
This is it now. Yeah, obviously I'm on a journey at the moment of going into vehicles that are probably out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Drift cars,
yep.
This.
Yep.
What's next? I don't know. Monster trucks.
No, I reckon a drag car.
Drag car.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it's in a straight line.
Yeah.
What can go wrong?
Everything.
Everything. See? It's a good job.
Satan.
So for the viewers at home, we've just been pelted with stones. Guess who was fine? Just so you know, this PPE played into effect. We got pelted with stones.
We didn't get pelted.
We got pelted.
We didn't get pelted.
It was a meteor shower.
It was not a Monty Python sketch.
You should have bought yours.
Aviators, mate. I'm safe. I'm piloting.
Same as this. So while we're on this drive, let's take a moment to have a commercial break. It's now never been easier to visit the Pipercross.com website and find your filter. Simply just go onto the website, put in a few details of your car, whether or not it's the make, model, range, will help you find your filter. It's never been easier. www.pipercross.com. So that's it for another episode of Intake It All In. Now in today's episode, we've covered our PX600 Carbon Airbox on this GBS Zero car. Now make sure you like, share, subscribe and tap that notification bell to be notified when the next video is uploaded.